Okay, so we have already created the project. We set up a library, and then we added two data sources, Boston Housing raw data and Amtrak passenger data. So these two we have already created the data sources for, and then we have created a diagram. Okay, so this is where we stopped last time. So we start with, so when we have a diagram and we want to do some analysis, the first thing we need to do is to drag and drop the data source. So now we have the data source here. Okay. Now we can do preliminary analysis, okay, and there are several ways of doing that. Okay, so you have the Explore tab. The Explore tab offers you several nodes here that we can use, and we're going to be looking at the ones that are useful for us. But before that, we need to run the data source so the data will be brought in. So right now we have only the node here, so we need to run the node. Okay, now we have the run is completed. So if you click the results, it will tell you what data has come in. So here is a log of what happened, and here are the variables that have been brought in with variable labels also showing. So that's good. Now with the node selected, if you go to exported data, okay, click that ellipsis. So now you see the exported data is available. So highlight this row, and now if you click the browse button, it will show you the data that's available. Okay. It just gives you a table of the data. If you click the properties button, we will tell you the properties associated with the data set. Okay, like what is the table name, when it was brought in, and how many columns are there, how many observations are there, and so on. Okay. Now this button in between, the Explore button, gives you a summary of the information that is contained. So if you look at the tables that we see here, okay, so this one is the properties table we just saw a minute ago, and here is a sample listing of the data. Okay, so we have observations going from 1 through 506. So the entire data set is now here. And then this window gives us sample statistics. So now we can review the sample statistics and then try to understand whether there are any problems or not. So we start from the top, and of course we need to know what each variable is. Now here, unfortunately, fortunately for us, we have labels associated with the variable name. Sometimes the variable labels may not be available. So right now we do have the labels, so that the label tells us what each variable is. So here the age variable is proportion built before 1940. So how many properties are built before 1940 in that tract? Okay. So the percent missing, so this is percent missing. How many observations are missing? Well, there are no observations missing. That's good. The minimum value is 2.9%. Okay, so 2.9% of the properties are built before 1940. Okay, so now the maximum is 415. So that is a problem there. Because you expect 100, cannot be more than 100% built before 1940. Okay, so 415 is the problem. It's probably a typo. Maybe it is 4.15 or maybe it is 41.5, but it is not 415. Okay, so there is a problem there. We need to examine that more closely. Now, cat med V. So cat med V is the proportion or number of one is coded as 1 if the median value is greater than or equal to 30,000, 0 otherwise. So percent missing 0, minimum is 0, maximum is 1. That's good. So they're all good values. It's not minimum is 0, maximum is 5. It can't be. I mean, if that is so, 5 is wrong. So 0 and 1, that's good. Okay? And 16%, the average is 0.16. So it seems to be all right. Now, the third variable is Chaz. That's the property it bounds to the Charles River. So here we have percent missing is almost about 0.8% missing. 0.8% out of 500 is about 4 observations. So there are not very many. So this is not a whole lot of missing observations. Okay, only 0.8% missing. Minimum is 0, maximum is 1. Again, that's good because those are the only 2 possible values. So this one is good. Now per capita crime rate, okay, again percent missing. So rest of it percent missing is 0, which is good. So minimum and maximum, minimum is 0.00632, maximum is 88.9 or 89%, or 89 per capita is 89. The range seems to be very large. Looks like there may be a problem, may not be. We don't know. So we need to consult, we need to examine it more, and we have to consult with the domain expert and see whether this is reasonable or not. So there is a possible problem here. We know that this is definitely a problem, but this one we don't know. Okay, we need to further investigate, maybe do a histogram and see how many are in, how the distribution is. Okay. Now weighted distance to 5 employment centers. Again, this seems to be all right. Proportion of non-retail acres. Okay, proportion of non-retail acres, whether this is a good value or not. The maximum value seems to be kind of large. So that is, for every 1 retail, non-retail is 27.74 or something like that. So maybe a little bit of investigation is needed here. Okay, we definitely need to investigate that. This may be less of a concern. Percentage of lower status population, okay, economically, politically, and so on, minority population. Okay, minimum is 1.73, and again, this is a problem. 581 is definitely not the, cannot be. It has to be between 0 and 100. So here is a second situation where we have to make a correction. Either that 581, we need to investigate and find out what the actual value is and correct it, or we have to delete that, make it into a missing value. But we cannot use it as it is because we know that that is an incorrect value. Okay, median home value is between 5 and 50, which is okay, but 50, here is a problem actually. As we look at the histogram, we will see that all values above 50 are rounded down to 50. So 50 here may not really mean 50, it is 50 or more. Okay. Now nitric oxide, there seems to be all right. Pupil to teacher ratio, there is how many pupil per teacher. Is there a problem here? Pupil to teacher ratio. Okay, so percent missing is 0, minimum value is 0, maximum value is 22. Now what about this minimum value 0? Is that good? Can we have a pupil teacher ratio that is 0? So that means we have a teacher with no pupil at all, right? Right?
With the missing value being credited
Could be, yeah, that's the point. Maybe it was a missing value that got coded as 0. So that needs to be looked into, definitely. So that's a problem. Like,
have little check arrows, you know, which ones are wrong.
yeah, you need to, you need to keep track of that, and then you have to go back and see. So this is something that needs to be looked at. Now, accessibility to radial highways. I don't know. The average number of rooms, again, we have a big problem here, 752, unless there is one property that is really a huge big palace or something. 752 seems really, really high. 750 rooms in a property. So that needs to be looked into. Yeah, that too. Yeah, zero rooms. How can you have a building with 0 rooms? So there is definitely a problem there that needs to be looked into. So property tax rate. Okay, so seems all right. Just a quick look. So maybe do a graph or something and look at it. Now, proportion of large lots. Okay. Again, here 850. That can't be right. And 0 again. So here maybe both for Zn, both minimum and the maximum seems to be kind of not reasonable. So here is a list of problems that are there, and we need to look deeper into this. That's the purpose of data exploration. Look for anomalies, look for problems, and find out.